It's Thursday night, it's 8:30, which means it's our live show, taking your questions in the live comments. Luke Swills is on about the quiz. The quiz is going to Tuesday night, Luke. It was going to happen tonight, but it's been such a day, and actually it gave me the idea to actually do a little bit of a different sort of new show on the Patreon page, a new show where we're going to talk about transfers more in depth, get your thoughts in the live comments, because it whizzes by on the YouTube channel, and I want to get your thoughts about players and how you're actually feeling about this news, because obviously there is, like Robert Farhi says, maybe that's why the Fred deal has picked up pace so quickly. And the United stand back on for live streaming now then. What happened in the end? It's Thomas Hannibal. Don't know what that means. But I booked a week off work to do the quiz, says Luke Swills. I'm not having it this time. But what a day it's been in relation to the transfer window. A week after it officially opens, it really did open today for Manchester United. So much going on. We could have gone live 4 or 5 times. It was absolutely enjoyable, but tiring. And the transfer daily tomorrow is already full of topics because there's just so many things going on today. When DiMarzio puts out his tweet, which basically talks about 4 different players, it's like, wow. I mean, I never even got to talk about Mandzukic tonight, but he was mentioned as well. And then other people with their news. There's just so much going on. But the Fred deals are positive, and the Darmian deals are positive. You've got somebody coming in who's very, very different to what we need, and very different and what we need, sorry. And then you've got Darmian going out, who, as I said a few minutes ago, is definitely on that dead wood list that we need to ship off. Sandro is set to renew his contract next week with Juventus. I think Morata stated that, so Stavros M. Talking about that on the Transfer Daily tomorrow, but I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. But he's had such a poor season at Juventus that I think he will move. And if you are watching on the Patreon page, remember, I must remind people of this at the start. If you're watching the stream on the Patreon page at the moment, if you click on my face or click on the video, you'll see in the bottom right hand corner there's a YouTube icon. Just click that icon and it will bring you through into your own private YouTube stream, which no one else can access, but there's a live comments there. Still think Fabinho may happen, Mark, because Law Top 20 keeps hinting at it, says Neil Craig. Yeah, I never know whether to mention him, Neil Craig, but being as we're now in our private group, I will do. Law Top 20 on Twitter is well worth a follow. He is, I mean, Neil, give us your thoughts, Neil, because one thing I would say about Twitter is you never know. You never know if it is a troll behind it. And for a long time, I think a lot of people thought Law Top 20 was, but actually, if you do research on him, he is a lawyer. And a week ago, he was in Turin. Well, he put a picture up there. He was in Turin, which I think was to do with the Juventus deal. So I think he's pretty bang on. But you used to only be able to follow him because he had a private group because he got a lot of trolling. But I think he might have made it public now. So he's well worth a follow if you're on Twitter. Yeah, it's good. I don't want Mandzukic. I'd rather give Martial a chance if he stays, says Luke McDermott. I just cannot. It's Law Top 20, at Law Top 20, I think, Kwame. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Mandzukic. It's really funny. It's really funny with Mandzukic because when that broke at lunchtime, I was talking to some of the moderators in our chat group, and I said, it's almost like Mourinho watches the United stand and purposely tries to irritate me because he's done it with Fellaini for the last 2 years, and now Fellaini's going to go. He's going to go and get the next player that I really just don't like, and that's Mandzukic. And I never thought Mandzukic would be a United player. He's never really been linked to us, so it's not. I don't dislike him for that. And again, I don't dislike the person; it's the footballer. When I've played FIFA in the past or when I watch Juventus, he's just so bloody slow. I don't like. You can probably pick it up. I don't like tall, slow players. They're the anti of what I want to see in a football pitch. But Mourinho obviously does. Apparently, we'd love to sign him. Bacreal says Martial has to stay. I hope he does. And Neil Craig says, yeah, I think Law Top 20 is reliable. He gets a lot like Lukaku and Sanchez way before anyone else. Do you think, says Ahmed, the 30 years players we look for are for instant success till our youth, Chong, Fozo and Gomez are ready? I mean, you could look at it like that. I'll probably look at it a little bit more simplistic and say, I think Mourinho is going short term because he needs to win a title, and I don't think he really cares what happens when he goes. He's gone very short term, but that's the club's responsibility. You know, Mourinho should not be given free rein to do that. Woodward should be saying, hold up a minute, why are we buying another 30-year-old? What happens in 3 years? That's not. If Mourinho's allowed to do that, you've got to blame the club for allowing him to do it. Stavros says, if Seri goes to Chelsea, reports suggest he wants to play there, and then City will be back for Fred. No, I've not heard that at all, Stavros. I think Fred will be a Manchester United player. The only other club that he could go to is Manchester City. Manchester City aren't apparently in for him. They want Jorginho. And Sarri to Chelsea probably looks quite... sorry, I've read that wrong. I'm thinking Sarri, Nice. You're talking Sarri, the manager. So if Sarri goes to Chelsea, reports suggest he wants to play there. And then City will be back for Fred. Jorginho he's talking about. Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. So Sarri, the Napoli manager, goes to Chelsea, and then Chelsea get Jorginho from Napoli, which means Man City don't get Jorginho, so they might be coming back in for Fred. I think it might be a little bit too late for City to come in for Fred, to be honest. I think it's looking very much like United. Luke says that Mandzukic scores goals, works his socks off and can play in multiple positions. Yep, but he's too slow, says Luke McDermott. Well, Sandro's not a left winger, is he? He's a left back. What do you think about us going after City targets? Positive football next year, says Mohammed. Well, I know Fred was linked to Manchester City, but actually at the end of the day, we need to change our midfield, and he is the sort of midfielder we should be going on. Like I said before, you've got Liverpool getting Keita, you've got Chelsea probably going to get Sarri from Nice, and we get Fred. All sort of similar. Extra Avenger says, when United clear the debt, Ed is going to make it rain. I don't think we'll ever make it rain with the Glazers in charge, to be honest. I don't think they'll ever just loosen the purse strings totally. Like the vid, please, guys, says Barkrell. Thanks for that. Buying Fred is a signal to me that we are finally going to change the way we play, says Calamity Jones. I mean, there's no certainties. There are no certainties, and last season was not acceptable, but there are shoots of promise in relation to this 2 weeks already. What we're doing with the coaching staff, what we're doing with people out the door and in the door rumours, it's looking good. And yeah, we do need to change over the summer. A lot of people think Mourinho can't change. Robert Fahey says we won't sign any attackers, or at least we shouldn't. Problem areas are midfield and defence. Well, I think we won't sign an attacker, Robert, if we retain Martial. If we sell Martial, then we probably will. Do you think we'll get Dybala or Bale, says Mohammed, which sort of feeds in with the last one. I think if Martial goes, you've got to go and get a player like that quality, yes, but hopefully not. Did you see the Neil Custis reply on Twitter to the Fellaini report, says Tommy Herald? I saw two from Neil, Tommy. One saying I hope he goes, and then the other one about Mourinho wanted him to stay, and then Neil said no, he doesn't. So, I mean, Neil Custis gets a lot of stick. He gets a lot of stick. I was at an awards show a couple of years ago and I sat next to him, and we had quite a good debate about Rooney. He's very defensive of Rooney, and I was like, well, look, Rooney's been a Manchester United great, but he needs to go. And he was like, no. He wouldn't have it. Just absolutely loved Rooney, but loves Manchester United as well. But, we had that debate. He's very passionate about Manchester United, and he actually, I know he writes for The Sun, and I know what the connotations of that mean to some people because they can't stand The Sun, but he is quite a decent journalist, especially in relation to Manchester United. And to be honest, when he puts stuff out there, I tend to believe it. I mean, not on the level of Di Marzio, but he is good. And he has been right about things. Last summer, he was right about more things than Di Marzio. He was right about Carrick being made the captain. He was the first one to break Rooney leaving. And he was right about Lukaku as well. So, he should be held in that esteem. I'm quite happy that he isn't, because he works for The Sun and that, people sort of disregard him and don't respect him, and it's all about Di Marzio. But actually, Neil Custis has been very accurate about United stuff. So he's somebody I definitely would keep an eye on over the summer as well. So he got 3 tonight. 4. Fabrizio Romano's good, and he's a staff writer for Di Marzio. So you tend to get a little bit more meat on the bones with Fabrizio. You've got Di Marzio, obviously, is good, but isn't constantly tweeting about United. And then you've got Law Top 20, he's very good. And Neil Custis is good. So 4 little tips for you there, if you're on Twitter. How confident are you we will land Savic, says Ahmed. I wouldn't say I'm massively confident. I've put myself into the mindset that we're interested, because we clearly are. And what we're going to do is just do a watching brief where we keep an eye on the situation and then we swoop in after the World Cup. And that's what I want to happen. But I'd hate to see him going anywhere else. I think he's a player that if he's available, United have got to get. Luke McDermott, good sign. We're looking for quicker midfielders. We got cut open at times due to a lack of pace. Matic, yes, I agree with that, Luke. And Thomas Hannibal, do you think that Pereira will play a big part next season under Mourinho? He could be a huge part of our season if he gets a chance. Well, you bring Fred in, you got Pereira back. do you sign Savic? I mean, it's all if, buts, and maybes, isn't it? I'd like to be given a chance. Do you agree with another YouTube channel that Toby is almost a dead cert? Says Jay Colthurst. Jay, if you want to put in there who that other YouTube channel is, it would help me. But I don't think Toby Alderweireld will come to United. No, I've been quite consistent about that. I won't be unhappy if he does. I think he's a very, very good centre back. I worry about his age. I worry about the price we'd pay for him, and I definitely worry about his injury-prone status, because United have had awful records with centre backs over the last 6 years, and he's only played half of Spurs games in the last 2. So I think I'd be very, very worried about that. I don't think it can happen. I think Spurs will want way too much money, and United won't pay it. I also don't think we're in for him. I think it's just a paper talk story, and I think we are being used, a bit like Talisca, to bump up the price. I don't think he's coming at all, and I would certainly not be going around saying it's a dead cert, because I think it's just a guess, because everybody I've spoken to, nobody can say that that's definitely happening. There's speculative interest, and maybe that interest is true, but I wouldn't be going around saying it's dead cert. Chelsea will get a new manager, so I don't believe Willian will leave, says Sebastian GGMU. I agree with you, Sebastian, I do. I think if Conte stayed, Willian will go, but if he's not going, depends whether Sarri likes him or not, but I think Willian will certainly stay till after the World Cup and talk about it then. So it's not going to be a quick deal anyway. Mohammed says, I agree, and they were asking for like 60 million euros. I think they're talking about Toby Alderweireld. Toby has next year for 25 million euros. Do you think we could wait till January? Stavros, yes. Barcrell says Custis lives in Didsbury, South Manchester, close contacts with the club. Yeah, and he's been around a while, and you build those contacts up. You do build those contacts up, so you will get bits of information. But if people don't want to follow him, I do, and I'll pick those bits up quite happily. Savic is a win-win signing. He either becomes world-class and pushes Pogba out, or gets Pogba to play at the level he should, and Savic can play alongside behind Pogba or leaves. David Ashwood, fantastic comment. Stavros says, Mark, let's say we get Fred. Would you sell Herrera at the point to fund the Savic deal, or would you rather keep Herrera and not get Savic? Well, that's a very, very good... And can I just say, I know there's 24 people watching, but I'm loving this. Absolutely loving this. I'm really glad that we've trialled this show tonight to talk about transfers, because it's giving you lot a real opportunity to get commenting in there, and I can bounce off way easier than I can on the United stand, because it's just too quick and there's too much to talk about. And this is a much more relaxed setting, and I'm really enjoying it, because it's just something... I wish I had a beer, because it's just something I like to do. Just talk about transfers and stuff. I know I present the United stand and I have to be professional with that, because we're giving out news, but this is just brilliant, because I'm getting just having a chat with people. So I thank you for getting involved. Herrera, Fellaini goes, Carrick goes, you get 2 midfielders. Herrera goes, we still need a midfielder. So that's a good point. That is a good point. And Herrera could go, because he's only got a year left on his contract. Herrera could go. It's a good point. It really is. And I've not answered the question for you, have I? Would I let Herrera go to get Savic? Yes. To be blunt, yeah. He's that good a player, potentially. Tommy Herald says, no way is it close with Alderweireld. If we are in for him, Levy will drag it on all summer and drain us at every penny. Tommy, the man after my own heart, I totally agree with that. I'll be stunned if we sign Alderweireld very, very soon. Mohammed, we were talking about Sidibe, Monaco right back. I don't rate him, Mohammed. I don't know whether you've been watching Football Transfer Daily on the United stand at 7 AM. We did mention Sidibe, I think, on a video either early this week or late last week. He's just like a lot of right backs that we seem to be linked with at the moment, that are just good right backs. And Valencia is a good right back. If we're going to buy a right back, I think they've got to be better than Valencia. Signing both Fred and Savic going to give Jose a headache. I think both are expecting first team to play every game, says Ahmed Hamada. Well, maybe we won't. Maybe they won't. The only left back I would want is Sandro. Any other, I would rather give Shaw a run of games. Neil Craig, again, I applaud that comment. A lot of people getting claps tonight, but I agree with that. It's Sandro or nothing for me. Got a Guinness myself, says Barcrell. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna grab a beer from the fridge. I won't be a minute, speak amongst yourselves, because I'm enjoying this chat. It's good. It's good. when in Rome and all that jazz, enjoy it. And you know what? I am enjoying the Patreon page. It is our little haven, and I love the United Stands Army on YouTube. It is fantastic, but you could never do this on the YouTube. You could never do this. It's too relaxed. People would watch and go, "What's this rubbish?" But I really am enjoying it, and it's one of our better ideas to do it. And I think the transfer show should stay. Does everyone think we should do a transfer show on a Thursday night? Mark, my fast opens in 15 minutes and I'm starving, says Mohammed. Oh, sorry, mate. And there is me going and getting a beer. Very insensitive of me. But yeah, it's an interesting thing, isn't it? Apparently Salah is not going to break his fast, which they can do for those special circumstances. He's not going to do it. I mean, how does he do that? How does he do that? Conditioning, I suppose. Mark, would you be happy if Pogba and Herrera left and we got Savage? That's from Mohammed. I don't want Pogba to go. I don't want Pogba to go. But, as I said towards the end of the YouTube stream, if Pogba was sold and we got Milinkovic, Savage and Fred, I wouldn't be crying in my sleep. I want Pogba to stay. But if he was sold, I think he'd only have himself to blame. He's not being brilliant. I think he can be brilliant, but if Mourinho said enough is enough, then that would be it. And Milinkovic, Savage and Fred would excite me. And I'd say it'd be very brave for Mourinho and he'd have my backing. Who should we bring in at right back? Bigger problem area than left back, in my opinion, says Robert Fahey. Interesting, Robert. I think left back is more of a problem simply because we're going to sell Luke Shaw. I think you're right. I think you're very right there. I'll give you a little clap that actually, on paper, Luke Shaw and Ashley Young should be fine at left back, and Valencia is the only right back we have. Everybody is pushing more for a left back, but I think that's because Luke Shaw's going to go. If I was bringing a right back in, Cam Yar's fasting as well, so hopefully only a few minutes for you as well, Cam Yar. If I was going to bring a right back in, I would be looking to bring in. I'd like to give Fozzie Mensah a go as a backup, but if you're going for a top class right back, they're few and far between. To be honest, they're few and far between. I mean, I quite like Bellerin at Arsenal. I do. I think he's got a lot of potential. Mohammed says he loves Pogba, but I'm really concerned about his consistency. Apparently, Fergie let him go for exactly the same reason. Yeah, that is the biggest problem with him at the moment. I've always said it about Pogba. It's like playing great against Man City in the second half or brilliant at Arsenal in November is brilliant. But why can you not do it against West Brom? Why can't you do it? Why? It's got to be a mindset thing because you are better than those players. And he should be running that game. What's your dream midfield for United next season? Mine is Ndombele, Pogba and Savic. My dream midfield three next season would obviously involve Toni Kroos and some other great players. But my dream realistic midfield next season would be Fabinho, Pogba and Milinkovic-Savic. Because I still think Matic, as good as he's been, is not quick enough. Fabinho can play it right back. Robert Fahey, you're right, yep. 55999 says, the question is it the club or Pogba that wants him out? If Pogba wants out, he should be sold because you cannot go into a season like next season where you need everybody on their A game. If Pogba wants out, get him out. Is everyone on board for that? If Pogba wants to go, let him go. And in fact, I'm going to put a tweet out about that. If Pogba wants to go, let him go. And next season's too important to the fans, to Mourinho, to everybody. I really hope Fozzie Mensah gets a chance at right back, even though it's all or nothing next season for Jose, says Sebastian GGM. Yeah, I think he will do as a backup. Bellerin can't cross it, says Luke Swirls. Neither can Valencia, so there we go. Bar Crowell's giving a big shout out to all of you. He says, a lot of knowledgeable supporters on here. You're educating me on continental players. Look, it's impossible on the United stand to for everybody to get their voice heard on the live comments. But the one thing I've always said about the United stand is, and it's organic growth. It's it is organic growth, not organic growth. It's organic growth on the United stand, because we started off very small and we just grew by word of mouth, and we still grow by word of mouth. But the great thing about the United stand is actually the United stand army, as they are self-called, which is all of you lot, are very knowledgeable people. I know when I talk to people, I've always spoken the same way. I don't numb it down. I don't water it down. I go in at the level that I feel I'm at football, and everybody responds to that, which means that, you know, you do know a lot about football, which you all do. So, yeah, and I agree. I think the brilliance of this tonight is I'm not doing it as Mark Goldbridge, the presenter. I'm just the presenter of the thing on the screen, but actually I'm bouncing off a lot of your lot as well. A lot of talk about Ndombele at Lyon. Stavros is on about him. A few others are on about him as well. I've not heard him linked to us, to be honest, and I don't actually know a lot about him. Scholes said Pogba should leave if he's not happy in Manchester United, says Ahmed Hamada. I don't know when he said that, but he's spot on. Personally, don't think Martial wants to leave, but knows it's better for his career if he does, says Neil Craig. Again, good comment. I agree with you. I don't think he wants to leave either. Camyar1911 says, who is Cancelo? Cancelo is the lad who's on loan at Inter Milan. Right back. On loan from Valencia, I believe. I think that's who everybody's on about. And Stavros says he's a bad player. He has a good cross. That's about it. No wonder he wasn't picked for the World Cup. If it's who everyone's on about, who I think they're on about, he's very, very, very fast. He's probably a little bit of a B-Tech Bellerin, actually. I think that's probably about right. He's again, he's not a good enough sort of that player for me. If Martial leaves, surely we need a Bale or a star signing, says Mohammed. Yeah, I agree. I think I talked about that on Jose Mourinho's top 5 signings yesterday, didn't I? And it's like, if Martial goes, you've got to go out and get an absolute star signing. But Luke Swirl says Cancelo is the crossing machine. He takes corners in a team, including Perisic and Candreva. Do you think Alexis Sanchez will ever come good under Mourinho? Why does he need time? He's supposed to be world class already. Good point. He shouldn't have taken this long, but I think hopefully we'll see the old Alexis Sanchez from Arsenal at United next season. He's not playing in the World Cup. He won't be fatigued. He can get back, get fit. And if in October he's still playing crap, he's going to flop, isn't he? Because he won't have any. There's nowhere for him to hide next season, and there's no excuses. Calamity Jones says, what do you think about Martial coming off Instagram? I mean, I don't know what you all think, but I think not that bothered. I'm pretty sure he's done this before as well. But it's not like he stayed on and deleted his United status. He's come off altogether. Robert Fahey says, Carrick said Pogba is staying. He seems to be keeping a close watch over Pogba, already looking like a really good coaching appointment. Yeah, Carrick does seem to have taken Pogba on, and Pogba's been very positive about Carrick as well. So I don't think Pogba's going to go either. Stavros says, Ndombele is short and explosive like Kante. He's also a CDM, while with Pogba-like technique, dribbles past the pressure and attacks space like Yaya. He bossed the midfield against PSG in both games. And did well against Monaco, if the previous comment about him is to be correct. Well, I'm surprised he's not been mentioned much. I've got to put my hands up and say, I'm not the Oracle. I've heard of the player, but I don't know anything about him. Is he playing for France? Is he going to the World Cup? Educators. And you pulled me in. I don't know everything. I know a lot, and I watch a lot of football, but I don't know much about this guy. And you've drawn me in. I'm interested to know, so the floor is yours. Stavros says, renew Martial's contract and loan him to Juventus for 2 years. Everyone will be happy with that. Yeah, they would. Jay Coulter says, would Pogba's agent tout him to City if he didn't want to go? Good point. I'm thinking about doing a Pogba show on the United stand. It's just like, with this positivity we've got around United at the moment, do we really want to take a step into what will have elements of negativity in it? But I do think there are a lot of interesting strands to it. Imagine if Alexis Sanchez won us the league next year, we could rub it into the Arsenal fans. Yeah. I think I'm very excited about next season. Because I think we're making positive changes. But on top of that, if it goes wrong, then we're going to have a big change, aren't we? So, and I don't want that change. I want it to go right. Do you think Mata leaves this summer, says Tommy Herald? I think Mata and Herrera are not getting mentioned, but there's a good chance that they could go. I do think there's a good chance they'll go. I hope they don't, but I think they could. Mohammed says, what's gone wrong with Rashford? He erupted on the scene and now he's going downwards. I'm just hoping he's going to have a really good World Cup, Rashford. Away from the shackles of a very negative season. Stavros says, Ndembele has not been picked for the World Cup. He has a weird character and he has had a standout season, but he needs a big transfer to get into the French squad. Well, to be fair, it's hard, isn't it? And Luke McDermott says, I'd love Memphis to come back, but not done enough yet. Luke, I've always said about Memphis, I said it the day that he went, that if there is a buyback clause for him, I think the pressure, he strikes me as a lad who can't deal with pressure. Like the scrutiny pressure, the pressure of being a star. And he struggled with it the first time. Imagine what the press would be like the second time. I just don't think he could do it, and I don't think United would inflict that on him. Mohammed says, is Alexis Sanchez another Di Maria who clearly came to us for the money but has not delivered? It's a fair comparison. I think we've got to give him next season because he has got a lot of effort in him. But at the moment, you'd have to say that the comparison is quite similar. 55999 says, think Martial and Rashford are the team after the quick fix, but not sure they are prepared to wait a couple of years. Interesting. I've been iffy on Mourinho lately, but I'm positive about the new season and willing to put some faith in Josie one last time, says Jay Colthurst. I think a lot of people are feeling like that now, Jay, and I think that's a good thing. I do think it's a good thing. He deserves that. I always say with Mourinho, what if? What if he did win the title next year and he went this summer? He's got to be given that third year. And it might be inflicting more pain on us, but we've got to find out, haven't we? He's made progress in the last 2 years, even though the football's not been great. Let's see what happens in year 3. And if it goes the way some people think it goes, then he goes. But if he, by some miracle, makes us title winners, it'll all have been worth it. Robert Fahy, I agree, Mark. He doesn't have the mentality for United. I think we're talking about Memphis there. Do you think the 4-4-2 will ever make a comeback? And if so, who plays up front for us? Says Thomas Hannibal. I don't think you can play the 4-4-2 in the modern game. I think the best 4-4-2 team I've ever seen was that midfield four of Beckham, Keane, Giggs and Scholes. And I think even in the modern day, with them adapted to the fitness of the modern day, they would struggle. Keane and Scholes were a brilliant pair in that midfield, but they would struggle because they're going to be 2 against 3. And the football has changed. And so many games are won in the midfield now. So I don't see it coming back. I think an adaptation of it could work. I don't think, what Pep's doing at the moment, obviously, is the way. There'll be a new thing evolve. It could go back to defensive. It could go to a new attacking style. What I would like to see come back, and I have there's no reason why it shouldn't come back, is width. Using the width. Like Sir Alex used to. Fullbacks bombing on. Wingers who can put the natural cross in. I think we see too much of the moment of a left-footed player on the right wing and a right-footed player on the left wing, and they're cutting inside and they're putting in the cross that's easier to defend. I'd like to see some genuine width and midfielders getting in the box and proper crosses coming into the danger zones. That's what I would like to see come back. I'd love United to be at the forefront of it as well. 3-5-2, says J. Cole. Yeah, I used to like 3-5-2, but Luke Swells is right. It did get found out quite quickly. I mean, the 3-5-2, I remember it from Euro 96, and it worked for a little bit, and then it got found out. Ahmed Hamada's been converted to an Ndombele. He says, I really like the look of him. Very good dribble. And Mark, Mourinho's mentality change is the most important signing we need. Our attack has no vision right now, says Mohammed. Well, I'm hoping some of this coaching changes will help. If Jose doesn't win the EPL next season and Pochettino would guarantee good football and Chong and Gomez get into their first team, would you want him? That's from Stavros. Look, with Pochettino, he's just signed the 5-year contract, and all I would say is that I think that's good for United. It doesn't worry me because I do like Pochettino, and you're right, he ticks some of the boxes in relation to what he plays with the youth and everything. But what I would say about Pochettino is that I'm sort of, it's not now. He's not now. He's got too many question marks on him. If you watch those 2 games against Juventus, they should have won those games, and they got done by an experienced team who schooled them in a 15-minute period. Against Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final, he got done by a team that's not as good as him this season. And that's happened to Pochettino too many times. In the big times, in the big moments, he gets found out, and that's why he's not winning trophies. If over the next 12 months, 2 years, Pochettino starts winning trophies, that's when I would be more enamoured to bring him to Manchester United. Fire says we need somebody who can put crosses in like Beckham. I mean, Lukaku scored a lot of goals this season. Imagine how many he'd score with somebody who can put a cross in. And Mohammed says that Mohammed Ashin Ijaz says, I've been a fan of Pochettino since Southampton days, but I feel like we need someone who wins trophies as well as promote youth and play good football. Yeah, pretty much agree with you, mate. I believe any formation can be used with the right players and coaching, says Robert Farhi. Very true. And do you see Pereira playing on the wings or in the midfield if he gets a chance next season, says David Ashwood? Oh, I just want him to be given a chance, David. I think he can play in both positions, and I think Mourinho hopefully will give him a chance. I've got a funny feeling he might move him on, though. I do have a funny feeling he might move him on. Pereira is best as an attacking midfielder, says Luke McDermott, and didn't think I could dislike Fellaini even more, but the way he's acting like a big player and wants us to beg him to stay is a disgrace, says Neil Craig. I don't think he can stay, can he? I just don't think he can stay now. I really don't. Anyway, I've gone over, but I was really enjoying it. So I think we should keep this show. I think we should definitely keep this show. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to get a pen and paper next time because I've learned a few things myself today, and it sort of gets the creative juices flowing because it's given me some thoughts for the transfer daily for tomorrow. I'm not going to put that French lad in there, but some of the other stuff that's been said has sort of got me thinking, and it's been really useful for me as well. I've really enjoyed it. So thanks everybody for that. Do have a good night, and remember we'll be back on the United Stand tomorrow with Transfer Daily, and you might hear things on there that we've discussed tonight. So thanks for watching. Keep spreading the word about the Patreon page, but we're building a nice little notification thing going on. We're building a nice little community here, and I'm enjoying it. I hope you are as well. I'll speak to you soon. Have a nice evening.